What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours nonstop NBA DFS conversation. It starts right now. GrindersLive, myself, head chopper, two-time millionaire winner, taking you up to, 6:15 on the East Coast. We hand it off to Kevin Roth. Kevin Roth, who knows ball, by the way. Shout out to Kevin Roth, calling the Amen Thompson triple-double last night. Neil Orfield also coming in, as well as Kyle Murray taking y'all home. It is a 7-gamer in the association, kind of a doubleheader. The first 5 are within the first hour block. Then we got to pause. We got to break. Back half of that TNT doubleheader battle. Los Angeles Lakers, Clippers, Pacers, and Blazers also playing basketball in the late evening. Front half of that doubleheader, very good basketball game. Boston and Cleveland, potential Eastern Conference Finals preview. Less than 2 days, less than 48 hours, I believe, away from the trade deadline. A lot of stuff has already fallen. More pieces are coming through. We saw another kind of baby trade today. Caleb Grimes and Caleb Martin and Quentin Grimes were traded for each other, just changing locker rooms. I suppose they're both in the same building. I imagine there's paperwork and nonsense, so they're not going to be able to play tonight. But there you go, just another little trade. Some other goofy things at this point in the season. Got to keep an eye on it. Really condensed schedule, Chop. I don't know if you looked ahead. Tomorrow's at least 10 games. They're playing a lot of games right now. They're just getting a ton of games, and there's not a lot of rest in the NBA. There are 5 teams on the front end in the 7-gamer. That's Philadelphia, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Toronto, the Heat, and the Bulls. Those 5 teams play tomorrow. And also the back half, your Rockets, producer Steve's Knicks, the Pacers, and the Blazers, who play each other, are both on the back half. It is a Television Tuesday, Chop. I know you like the Television Tuesday. We can go ahead and drop that first clue for the people as I say hello. If you guys don't know what that is, you know what that is. But if you don't, there's one person like, what? Television Tuesday? Yeah, you get a week free of RG Premium. Just tell me what TV show I'm talking about. And you submit your answer to Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel. Only one guess per clue drop. The first clue is scrolling, and the first clue, Chop, is Beetlejuice. What's up, Chop? How are things?
They're all right, Dean. They're not too shabby. So we got the Television Tuesday. I also want to start. Dean, I was just kind of getting through some Christmas gifts that I had set aside, and then I realized somebody gave me a nice. I know who it was. I don't want to. They gave me a nice desktop calendar. One of those tearaway. You tear away the page every day.
There's like a joke on it or something.
There's either. It's a Houston Astros calendar because they know I like the Astros.
Okay.
There's either a joke or not a joke, either a trivia question or a fact on each day of the week, and you get to peruse through it throughout the year.
What is today's?
So, today is February the 4th, so I tore it away, and I got this one. So I was wondering, maybe every day I come on the show, you can answer this, or I can give you a nifty little fact about the Astros.
Okay.
This is a tough one, Dean. I ain't gonna lie. I'm an Astros guy, and I had trouble with this one. All right. Can you name the pair of pitching brothers who have each thrown a no-hitter in an MLB game? Hint, one of them played for the Astros. Not easy.
Wait, they've each thrown a no-hitter? Is that what you said?
His brothers, and they each threw a no-hitter at some point, and one of them happened to be with the Astros.
Necro?
That was my first guess. It was not Phil and Joe Necro.
Mike Maddox never threw a no-hitter, right? I can't imagine Mike Maddox threw a no-hitter. What did he? Is it the Maddoxes?
It was not. Would you like the answer, Dean? Would you like the without Googling? Would you like the answer?
Well, my hands are up here. My hands are up.
Abbott did not. I don't know who the Abbott brothers are.
Let's see. Am I aware of these people? Is this like in my lifetime, more or less, or no?
It might have been before our time.
Yeah. Is anybody in chat? Some people in chat are probably Googling, right? Is chat?
Ooh, right. Well, you got to be careful with the chat because the chat probably Googled this stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful. But I do see the correct answer in chat.
Did Mike Scott have a brother?
Mike Scott was so good. I know he didn't. I don't think he had a brother though.
Yeah, I don't think I know it.
It was Ken and Bob Forsch.
Yeah, I wasn't getting there.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
I was not getting there.
Richard guessed Forsch, but I don't know if Mr. Richard cheated. There's no telling. But Mike Scott was
I think he's a teacher, so he would never.
Mike Scott was a hoss, man. He was so good for a brief amount of time.
And he had those awesome Astros jerseys with like that ridiculous color stripe going across the.
Yes. What up, butthole? Dean, man, I wasn't here yesterday. I didn't get to get your take on the Luka trade, man.
I mean, it's just. I mean, I had the same take as everybody else, basically. And the weirdest, like, if that's what your heart says, and you didn't want the guy for whatever reason, that's a weird conclusion. But okay, but like nobody else thinks that, so you can get more. It's like, yeah. I was thinking about this, Chop. It's funny. I wanted to ask you, like, if you do shop around, right? Houston's one of those teams you can knock on that door. And I was talking about Amen Thompson is an incredible asset. Would you trade? You would trade Thompson for Luka straight up. Yes. You just have to. You don't want to do it, but you have to, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I watch Amen play. He's become a favorite. You know, I got a signed autographed jersey sitting here I'm looking at. I love the guy, but you got to trade him for Luka.
Of course.
The question becomes how much. The question would become how much would you give up for Luka? You know, in addition to
Amen, Whitmore, and like 2 ones.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. You know, the ones at a certain point, the ones become kind of irrelevant for you. You know, like I don't know, they become irrelevant. So yeah, I'm good with that. But Dean, there's obviously something really fishy.
Are you doing a conspiracy thing?
It's got to be, right? Like, how could you have Luka, a top 3 to 5 player in the entire world, and not shop him, be so under the radar that not even other GMs or Shams or like the people who are so dialed into the league, that none of these guys have any.
Jazz didn't know. The Jazz were the third team in the trade, and they weren't aware until like the last minute.
How could that happen? How could you have this, this thing that's so valuable to everybody out there, and you never even shop it? There's got to be a conspiracy, Dean. There's got to be something behind it that maybe has to do with the Lakers or LeBron or something. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but it's shady, man.
The other conspiracy is the new owners in Dallas are trying to pull a major league and tank the team so they can move back to Vegas. They have ties to Nevada. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just telling you that's what's been floated out there. If you want to go down that route,
I've seen the the Adelsons, and of course they were the same people who were really like deathly against DFS a decade ago because it was killing their
Vegas. They thought it was
Vegas brick and mortar stuff.
It's still illegal in Nevada, as far as I know. You still can't play DFS.
They went so far. They spent so much money and went so far out of their way to try to kill DFS. So I already got like a bad vibe towards them, and yeah, they could be trying to pack it in and move, or it could be something else.
Why did Cuban sell them? Did nobody else want the team? Like,
another great question. My thought is that so they're going to try to do once gambling becomes legal in Texas, if they can ever get it pushed through. My guess would be that they would be first in line to like get up a casino or something like that. Maybe they've been given, like a behind the doors green light kind of a thing. And maybe it was like, Mark, we'll let you in on we'll let you in on some of this for that Mavericks stake, like under the radar back door. Like when it happens, you'll get a cut of it. And maybe it's just so much money that, but I'm with you. Like Mark, this would never happen under Mark Cuban's watch.
No,
that would never have happened.
They asked Mark Cuban. Somebody asked Mark Cuban a question. They said, which is more likely to happen? You trade Luka or you have divorce papers? He's like, yeah, I guess I'm just divorcing my wife. This isn't a recent question, I don't think, but yeah, it's just like he loves Luka, and that's his guy. He loves Dirk as well, obviously, but yeah, it's just if he would have known that this is where it was going, I wouldn't think I feel like he's got some regrets.
Well, I definitely think so, man. Imagine, Dean. I know we've all had, as a fan, we've sat back on our teams and gone, gosh darn it, I hate my owners. I hate this. I hate that. I wish they would change this or that. Can't believe they made that move. I can't believe we paid Jimmy Butler, or I can't believe we signed whoever, I can't believe Jerry Jones is doing this to my Cowboys and all. But I tell you what, I cannot imagine. I can't fathom the hate and the vitriol I would have if I had a superstar on my team in his prime and I loved him and he had an attitude and it was a good attitude and you loved to have him on your team and you knew how, and then boom, the ownership just ups and gets rid of, and there's no recourse for you. It's gone, can't be taken back. It'll never happen. Like, I just can't imagine how angry I would be as a fan of the Mavericks, man.
And it's not even like, oh, their future is going to be great. It's not. Like, there's no future. Look at the pieces in that team. They must win this year or next year, and basically that's it. That's their window. And guess what? Spoiler alert, they're not. They're not winning this year. They're not winning next year. And that's it. Their window's closed. Then Davis is 34, and Kyrie's 35. But they're just done. I don't. And look at that roster. Who could you point to and say, well, in 2 or 3 years, there's nobody. There's nobody. Klay Thompson's, it's already over for him, basically. The whole thing is crazy. But yeah, I feel like this is the one thing like we can get everybody to basically agree on. But that is the first game on the slate, by the way, Chop. Dallas and Philly. We are still waiting for some news. I said this is the front half of a back-to-back for Philadelphia. They might be pulling some who knows? We might get Embiid tonight, but they also play tomorrow, and maybe they save Embiid for the Heat. 228 is the total. Philadelphia is a 4-point favorite here. As far as who's in, who's out, I just mentioned that Martin and Caleb Martin, I should say, Caleb Martin and Grimes are both traded for each other, so they're not going to play this evening. Max Christie is available. It's interesting. We're not projecting him to start, but they're going to start him just to like make it seem like look what we got. We got a starter. I feel like they're going to start him for that reason. I guess he could start, but we're currently not projecting him to start for whatever it's worth. Davis is not playing. He's not available. He's dealing with that abdominal, and kind of also he's in a weird spot too, where it's like it's not his fault, and like the fans like kind of hate him. He didn't do anything. You get news? What's that noise? Did news just break? Drummond out, Lowry out, Cody Martin out, Eric Gordon out. Are we going to get Embiid, or are we going to get like questionable for Embiid game time? Chop, you got the news here?
I'm just seeing a bunch of scrubs right now.
Okay, yeah. Well, why did we get the horn? What did the horn indicate? Was the horn for Eric Gordon? Is that what that was for your Steve? Because I don't think
maybe you thought it was a different Gordon.
I don't think the horn was for Eric Gordon, or I thought maybe somebody got television Tuesday or something. I wasn't sure. I hadn't had a chance to check the Discord just yet, but okay. So no news just yet on those guys, but Drummond, Gordon, Lowry, Martin, all out. Okay. Great job. And yeah, so who's left? Paul George is also out too, if you weren't aware. Lively obviously out is out for Dallas. Oh, PJ Washington, that's a big one. He's out for Dallas as well. We're currently projecting Kyrie, Dinwiddie, Clay, OMP, that's Prosper, and then Gafford. Gafford to me would look a lot better if Embiid doesn't go. We don't know about Embiid. He's still questionable, but they did just rule out a bunch of dudes off the bench. Drummond, Gordon, Lowry, and I guess anybody named Martin is out as well for Philly. Chop, Dallas, Philly, best you can do. What do you got for me?
Well, the news is Embiid seems to be in, so okay. I think that pretty much throws I think that throws the Philly side out the window there. I don't know, because you're not going to play Embiid at 9,600, and you have no idea if he's going to play 15 or 20 minutes, and that's it. And you can't live with that. Takes away from everybody else on that team. So I'm out on Philly. They're not getting any ownership anyway. And by the way, this is an island game at 6 o'clock, 5, 7, 6, whatever your time zone is. And then you get 30 minutes.
Steve having a good time.
Then you get 30 minutes, so you don't have to take anybody.
We're giving him 26 for what it's worth. That's a tough projection. We're giving him 26.
I mean, you get 30 minutes to the next game. So you get one single game, then a 30-minute break, which may be enough to change things up. And then on the Dallas side, yeah, you're going to get a little ownership on Gafford and maybe Najee Marshall, but I'm really not. I don't see any of these guys with Kyrie playing tonight, Gafford playing tonight. I don't see any of these guys that I need to play. I'm on the fade this game.
It's weird. Isn't it weird, though? And I'm not saying you're wrong, Chop. Isn't it weird that all these players are out and we still don't like this game? Now, I know with Philly and Embiid coming back, he's going to eat enough where he takes away from others. Although you could make the argument for Maxey, like his efficiency goes up. You want to make that argument? Sure, I guess. But he's still not a priority for me. So, like all the Philadelphia guys, they're going to take a hit to some degree with Embiid being back and probably not playing enough. Although I would say, you mentioned Embiid on DK is what, 9.4? Is that what he is, Chop? 9-ish, mid-9s?
Yeah.
He is 8.4 on FanDuel. So FanDuel is at least like tempting you in some way. Maybe he plays 28 minutes. And, he can get there in theory in like 26, 27. But he's also like, can't really move. I don't know how much Embiid you watch this year, but it's not great. I'm surprised he's getting the stats he's getting, to be honest. Yeah. And the Dallas side, without Washington as well, but all the prices have sort of changed, right? Kyrie is almost 9K. Gafford, I like Gafford with Embiid out. I like him less with Embiid in. But again, he's got to be more bouncy than Embiid is right now. Marshall, we're giving him 27 minutes. Clay is just can't get there. Yeah, it's tough. It's just strange. You would think that the game would be more appealing, but it's just not that appealing.
So all those guys were out 2 days ago in the last Dallas game. You had all those guys out. So all these guys played. Nobody necessarily crushed it. They all got like a handful of guys got mid to high 20s in that game. And now they all got a price bump. Like they all got like a small price bump, which makes it even more difficult. And you got guys coming back. So I can see why. I could see why nobody in this game is appealing. Like if we were still getting the same thing, what was that? 3,300 for Prosper last game. Yeah. Now he's 41. Exum, not that he was dirt minimum 3K last game, 35. That's a big bump for a guy who's not even going to get you over 26, 27 points at max, something like that. So I can see why this is not a very appealing game, and I'm off of it.
Yeah, Edwards is still in the 4s. His usage is going to fall back with Embiid. He's still probably going to play 32 minutes or so. Marshall 27 minutes is what we're getting at, but yeah, not a lot. We did get an update as far as our projections. Well, I hit the refresh button on Lineup HQ. They're on top of it. The team. If you're curious as far as where the minutes are going for Philly, 38 Maxey, 36 Oubre, 32 Edwards, 32 Yabusele, 26 Embiid, 25 Council, and the rest is nonsense. Oh, KJ Martin is in. Okay, we got KJ Martin in. I said all the Martins are out, but KJ apparently he's good to go. I missed that. Well, yeah, I saw he was questionable. I guess he was ruled in, and I missed that. But we're moving on, Chop, from the only 7 o'clock game on the East Coast. Is that correct? We just got a report that says Embiid expected to play around 30 minutes Tuesday. I'll tell you can play him on FanDuel. I think you can play him on FanDuel where he's 8 and change.
I believe it when I see it, though, Dean.
Well, I'm not saying he is. I'm just telling you, like that is the report. And some coaches do lie. They tend to lie the other way, though. They usually lie and they undercut it, right? They don't usually over-project. Just saying. I'll tell you one thing. He's not playing tomorrow night. You can rule him out versus Miami right now. He's not playing versus Miami.
Here's a question for you, Dean. If you're Philly, and you got the phone call from the Mavericks.
Yes.
Some draft picks. Whatever you got for draft picks, plus Tyrese Maxey. And Luka is yours.
Well, wait. Oh, Maxey and a bunch of no.
And your picks for Luka.
I would rather have as like a foundation piece before we get to like the rest of the package. I would rather have Amen Thompson or like Evan Mobley than
really. You don't like Maxey that much?
I think he's fine, but I think what Amen does both ways. You wouldn't take Amen over Maxey.
I'd be close on that one because Maxey's got.
One. That's easy. Maybe I'm way too high on Thompson.
No, I just think you're probably a little low on Maxey.
That's probably true. He's just a straight scorer.
No. He 3-point. He can drive. He's got he's fast. I think he does play a lot better defense than he gets credit for. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Maybe is that today's poll question? Who would you rather have for the next 5 years? Next 5 years. Let's get on that, Steve. Today's poll question. Next 5 years, well, money. Forget about money and all that kind of stuff. Whatever, you're building a team. Do you want Amen or do you
want? Isn't money irrelevant? It's just so irrelevant. Hey,
with the cap it matters.
People bring up. I mean, but Luka was in line, and that's a whole different subject that he just lost out on $120 million, right? But that's all. Yeah. But Luka was in line to get paid
more taxes.
$350 million extension. Like, it doesn't even matter. It's all funny money. It's all like monopoly money for those guys.
I mean, I can't imagine. But at a certain level, I mean, what's the difference between having 300 million and 400 million? Like, I don't know.
I say that all the time. All these guys who are multimillionaire, billionaires, like, they don't have to do anything. Why do they grind so hard on some of this stuff when they're like, why is Warren Buffett grinding so hard?
Winning matters.
I guess, man, but at a certain point, you guys got to realize life is not forever, brother. And you got to go out and get some fresh air and spend that money. There's no reason to leave it to your kids, man. They ain't gonna do nothing but become entitled. So
no reason to leave it to your kids.
Hell no. I would rather spend if I could time it to where I spent my last dime on my deathbed, I would do that.
Are you leaving it to like the dog? Like, you ever see like the dog inherits like billions of dollars? Is that
maybe I'll just whatever I have left in my account and all my fortunes when I die, I'll just do one big GPP on DraftKings for everybody. Free roll for everybody.
Derek says you're going to bounce the very last check. You're right. When was the last time you wrote a check? I can't tell you the last time I wrote a check. I don't. Do you still do that?
No, but I do have some checks because some guy was doing the roof here last year, and there was a whole payment thing that he couldn't do online, so I had to order some checks. But I ended up paying for it online anyway through another vendor. But yes, I got them, but I haven't used it. I haven't written a check in a lot. But I still get, like, for my birthday, I'll still get a $15, $20 check from my aunt. I gotta cash.
It's been the same $15 for the last 30 years.
It's nice. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah. Respect. Yeah.
Sure.
No, there's no inflation with that. It's just straight 15 every year. All right. I've not had a chance to check the Discord. I'm assuming that I would have been alarmed if somebody actually got the answer to today's TV show. What's funny is somebody else guessed. Your guess was Schitt's Creek, and that's Peterman guessed the same thing. That is not the guess, for what it's worth. And it's also funny that producer Steve guessed Stranger Things, and it's not Stranger Things. So I guess people are going with stuff. It's not Curb. Not Curb Your Enthusiasm. But the second clue, we can go ahead and drop that for the people. We'll move on to game 2 here in just a second. Clue number 2, the second clue, it's not a coincidence. Well, maybe the second clue, Chop, is second. The second clue is second. That is clue number 2. All right. Second game. What do you got?
Now, I need some clarification.
It's scrolling. The spelling is right there.
Is it second as in hours, minutes, seconds, or is it second as in first place, second place?
It's just, you see how the way I typed it out is the way it is spelled. SECOND. You do with that what you want. But that is clue number 2. Celtics, Cavs, first half of the TNT doubleheader, high and tight. Like, this is as high and as tight as it gets. 239. That's high. And a 1-point line. Cleveland is just barely a favorite here. 1-point favorite. Is this the classic more fun to watch than it is actually the roster players? Well, you tell me. As far as who's in and who's out for this one, well, Boston is fully clean. They're good to go. Nobody on the injury report of note. And Cleveland, nothing new. D-Wade is still out. He's got that knee. Okoro is still out. He has that shoulder. But otherwise, 2 teams that are basically at 100%. You'd have to imagine they're going to both go for it. Have a nice game on national TV. Where do you have the Celtics and the Cavs. Are we enthused about this one? In theory, we should be, right? High and tight.
It should be a great game for just viewing purposes, standings, Eastern Conference stuff. DFS wise, man, it's not easy. This is not easy going to get, I don't like to play a lot of players against the Celtics, especially when that team is healthy and they can spread it around a little bit and you don't know, which guy you're going to get each night that's going to step up with the big game. So although Karis LeVert does have a really good salary on DraftKings, if you're into that 3,800 thing, you can go that route, but not loving the Cleveland side with them at basically full health here. On the Boston side, I think much more likely to play some Boston players, and Porzingis has a good price tag.
Mm-hmm.
They're healthy too, though, for the most part. That starting five is healthy. Tatum or Brown, again, I say this almost every night. If it's a competitive game, one of those guys will basically always get there. So you just choose one and roll with it. Brown's much cheaper, but man, I like Tatum tonight. I don't know why.
Did you see the last game Boston played against Philly? They were playing down to Philly. They're getting beat the entire game, and they came back and won. They Tatum and Brown played the entire second half. I don't know if you saw that. Did not come out. They played minutes like 43, 44, something like that. It was. I was staring at my phone though. I was going to live bet Boston because there's a great number. I'm like, how is Boston not going to come back and win this? They did, and I did not fight for whatever reason. But this should be close. Should be a good game. I like the Zinger call. It's just always a question of centers. Centers tend to be really good. I love that price on DK at 7-1. I don't necessarily love running centers at Cleveland, but Porzingis is also not really a traditional center. You can get his points different ways. He doesn't really rely on to get a bunch of rebounds. He can hit some threes. He can do little things here and there. I like. I don't think I'm going to focus on anybody. I might make a little game stack here, but there's no sort of priority play, right, Chop? It's just maybe a little game stack. But if I fall into Tatum, if I fall into Brown, sure. Garland's fine. Mitchell's fine. I tend to not play Mitchell just because he's so reliant on scoring, but certainly he can score 35 here, and it wouldn't shock us. I'm a bigger Mobley fan than most, but probably not going to get there. Although I do like the power forward eligibility. But mostly this game is I might just pick one lineup where I focus in this game, and the rest, at most, I'm playing one player. That's kind of where I'm at, which is. I'm a little nervous about not having enough this game, to be honest. But I think that's the way things are going to go for me. Anything else of note?
There's 7 games. 7 games, a lot of good players tonight. We'll talk about even more. It's tough to I don't know. I usually just look at a Boston game and I'm just not super enthused DFS-wise because they play good defense and they're so up and down on offense with that 3-point shooting. I tend to only like Tatum or Brown, not both, and I don't ever like their opponents. Maybe that's my blind spot in DFS. So I'm just never gonna jump on that as a big time game.
Yeah, and the other argument you can make is we could see heightened minutes here. Again, the opponent, it's probably going to be tight. It's national TV, so you get the extra commercials. It feels like it doesn't matter, but an extra minute of rest time. Maybe they bring the guys out a little bit early. As far as if these guys play tomorrow, I don't think so, right? The Cavs play tomorrow, but Boston, they do not. Okay. Anything else of note here, or shall we move on? Okay, so there's 2 more 7:30 games. The next one is the Rockets and the Nets. They did play this, I think, a week ago or so. 212 is the total. Nets got the better of your Rockets. Rockets on the back half of a back-to-back. You got Şengün back tonight. Of course, FEV, Freddie VanVleet, he is still out. Tari Eason, who drew the start last night, he is out. Jabari Smith is still out. Chop, tell me how to make the worst decision of my life selling a 30-1 Amen Thompson 6th Man of the Year award. He's not going back to the bench, right? He's not. How could they bring him back to the bench?
It's a good question, Dean.
It might have been a bad. I immediately regretted it, and I'm like,
because The only rebuttal I would have for that is I think that the whole start versus coming off the bench is really overrated. It doesn't matter who starts; it matters
Who closes?
who closes. That's your true definition. Who's getting the big minutes? So I mean, there's a chance you just come back, keep the continuity that was before, and bring him off the bench. But now he's the guy who closes it out, and that's that. So there's definitely a chance. You got some. Listen, a guy like Udoka. He's not. He wants to get those veterans. He wants to make sure those veterans are. He likes vets, man. So he's gonna make sure, they have their thing right there. So I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'd be a little nervous. So you had a 30-1 ticket, and what happened? You sold it?
Yeah. Well, you could sell it off, and I just thought like he's playing too good. There's no way they can throw him back to the bench. They say you're not supposed to lose your starting job over injury. I don't know how they I mean, again, like you said, he's going to close no matter what, but maybe they don't start him. And he comes in like in the 8-minute mark and they start Jabari Smith, and then that could be in trouble. At a certain point, if you start enough games, you're no longer eligible, is the thesis. And I just thought he's just going to start too many games. Right now, Pritchard is the big favorite for what it's worth. So I need Pritchard to keep playing pretty well, and he's kind of tailed off a little bit. But I have regrets about it. I don't know why I did it. It was a very conservative move, and it's a bad idea by me. Yabusele is starting, by the way, for what it's worth. That's been reported. Shaquille says, do we win every single day? No. No. I'll speak for myself. I do not win every single day. It's been a good little run. I think I would say I've won 5 of the last 6 slates or so. At least making $1. I've been profitable. And last night we did all right, and also with the help of Roth, we did really good in the sports betting streets as well. How do we see the Rockets and the Nets? Oh, I didn't do the Nets as far as who's in and out for the Nets. Claxton is available. Clowney, of course, is out. Cam Johnson's out. Melton's out. Ben Simmons is out. Cam Thomas is out. My guess is we don't see Cam Johnson or like one of those guys. Is it Cam Johnson's supposed to be moved at some point? We'll see. I guess in the next couple of days. We'll stay tuned for that. But Houston is on the back half of back-to-back. They're traveling, but the Brooklyn team is not the most imposing opponent. Şengün back from a 3-game rest. And again, without Eason Chop, we have Cam Whitmore projecting as one of the better cheapies on the board. Also because there's not a lot of cheapies that are looking very good right now. Some Toronto stuff we'll get to, which is kind of, I don't know, shaky at best. But your thoughts with the Rockets and the Nets? What do you got for me?
Oh man, it's a tough one right here, Dina. I don't know. Zaire Williams is going to get some love in the optos. He's got a pretty good, and the ownership too. He's got a pretty good price tag, and that's a bad team, and so that's probably where I would lean there. Keon Johnson, D'Angelo Russell, all in play. So I don't know. The Brooklyn is who they are. Who knows what they're going to do every game with this stuff? They're trying to lose games, and they're not doing a good job of it, but they're certainly putting out rotations that are worthy of losing games, but it's just not happening a lot. But it's the Houston side that I think I find it very interesting here, because you mentioned Cam Whitmore. I like Whitmore, and it's just purely I don't think there's anything about the numbers there. It's just about the sense that, yes, maybe this is a Cam Whitmore game, because, Dean, I'll tell you this much, the schedule makers did them no favors here.
No.
They have this is like their 7th game in 11 days, all on the road. Not easy game. Like, this thing started with Cleveland, Boston, Atlanta, Memphis, New York. Those are good teams, man. And it's 7-11, and players are missing and players are tired. So I'm leery of anybody who's gotten big minutes these last 2 weeks for Houston. And that's why I kind of like Cam Whitmore. Maybe they lean on him a little bit more tonight. But I could be wrong. I don't know what Udoka's thinking, but that's where I'm at. I kind of, Şengün, you're going to come back. I would imagine you feel as good as anybody else on this team. So I think Şengün's fine if he plays, and we get word that there's no limitations. But that's why I like Whitmore. He's cheap, and I think he gets a little bit extra run, a little bit extra shot attempts tonight, seeing as how this has just been a brutal stretch of games for these guys.
They played Cleveland on Saturday the 25th, but if you go to just the 27th, Monday the 27th versus Boston, Tuesday the 28th versus Atlanta, the 30th versus Memphis, the 1st versus Brooklyn, this rematch. New York on Monday and Tuesday tonight, Brooklyn. So this is also the 3rd and 4 nights, back half of back-to-back and on the road. I guess this is all like the things that they kind of throw up for a potential letdown. It's also a letdown game too. If you watched that game last night in New York, that felt like a kind of a playoff atmosphere. And now you're in Brooklyn where, whatever slog is, the atmosphere in Brooklyn has got to be miserable these days for, I'm watching the quad box. I watch a lot of games, and if anything, obviously the volume of just one game. I never have the volume on Brooklyn. It's just they never make the volume. Yeah, I agree with your take. The only thing is I don't love that he's going to be kind of popular because, again, as of right now, if we do point per dollar stuff, we have one player Chop, that's 6xing. And you know who it is? It's Dick, your guy Dick.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about him too.
I need to see that.
And the next guy is, he's been in the news for some bad things recently, Terry Rozier.
Terry, buddy, what are you doing?
But there's some allegations, I should say. I don't know if he's done anything. And then, it gets it's not good is the point. The long story, there's not a lot of value stuff. Toronto might open up a little bit more. Potentially we'll get there. But on the whole, this slate, I just feel like it's going to be a low-scoring slate. Yeah. You have anybody you mentioned Williams. Is that your favorite play on Brooklyn?
Yes, Zaire, definitely my favorite play on Brooklyn, followed by Keon Johnson. But those are the two most popular guys, so I'm not really, doing nothing outrageous right there. I will say that, if you want to get off of the Cam Whitmore, but you think the theory is fine that maybe some of the other vets don't do as well. Jayshawn Tate, when he's healthy, he will get a lot of run. And Eason's out. And Eason's out, and Eason started yesterday because Şengün and Fred VanVleet were out. So maybe Jayshawn gets the start again today. Maybe he gets 20 minutes again, and he's cheaper than Whitmore. He's significantly less ownership, and maybe that's a route you go.
Are you a little surprised that Steven Adams is not ruled out back half of back-to-back? As far as I know, he's we've seen it several times this year, many times. I don't say many, but it's happened more than once where he doesn't play back-to-backs. Is that something we might expect dropping at some point, or no?
They've definitely treated him with kid gloves this year, so I wouldn't. Do we have confirmation that Şengün is for sure in tonight?
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah. Well, you asked me a question earlier. How old is Steven Adams?
Did I? I asked you.
No. You asked me like an Astros question. Now I'm firing back a question from you.
Really, it feels like he's been around forever, but it sounds like you're doing a trick question. I would say 30.
I heard, I was listening to a podcast. They said he's 30 to 31. I'm like, how is he not like 40? It feels like he's been around.
I guess he came in really young. He came in, and plus, I do remember he was the draft pick that was involved in the James Harden trade to get to Houston.
Okay.
So Harden was already in the league for a while, and then Steven Adams. So I guess he's not been around as long as we feel like he has.
Did he play college ball or just come straight from
I think Australia? He just came from overseas.
Yeah. By the way, Caleb Martin will not make his debut tonight. No surprise there. And I was wrong. I thought Christie might start tonight. He's not going to start. They're saying Christie coming off the bench there tonight for Dallas. All right. But I'm looking forward to the first time Dallas plays a home game. The crowd might just not to keep beating up on Dallas, but I feel like that's going to be worth tuning in for, especially if they start losing. Yeah. Okay. Anything else as far as Houston and Brooklyn, or shall we scoot along?
Moving on. We need another clue, though. We've been quite a while without a clue.
The third clue is third. No, the third clue is is hot dog. Hot dog. Beetlejuice, second, and hot dog. Let's just check out the Discord. Have we had any close calls? I see Quantum Leap, the Masked Singer, being guessed. Just kind of a funny guess. Succession. Wednesday. It's not Wednesday. It's not Glow. All right. I see some guesses coming in. The Voice. Well, people think it's a singing. I think it's a singing Beetlejuice second hot dog. All right, some guesses coming in. It's not Reno 911, but that was a trippy show back in the day. Okay, New York and Toronto. New York back half of back-to-back again, kind of a letdown deal. Taking on the Raptors into Toronto. 228 is the total. 6-point favorite for New York as far as who's in and who's out in this one. This is the last of the 7:30 games. OG Anunoby is out. He's not available to play tonight. Josh Hart, they didn't even say questionable. They're saying he's probable. Same deal with Cat. He's got that knee. He's good to go. So no OG and no RJ Barrett because he's got a head. He's got a concussion. They're saying that this is where some value might open up potentially. Chris Boucher, Bruce Brown. They're giving Boucher the old illness, and he's been rumored to be on the block. And Bruce Brown has also been rumored to be on the block. They gave him a face. He's got a facial contusion. My guess is, I don't know this, John, but my guess is those guys don't play because I think they're being shopped around for something. There's like 35 minutes between the two of them, not a ton. But as of right now, the absence of Barrett and the absence of a lot of strong value on the slate, we have quickly starting with Dick, Agbaji, Barnes, and Pirtle. And of course, on the other side, you got another revenge game. Many revenge games averted here, Chop, right? There's no RJ Barrett revenge, no OG revenge, but we do have some precious revenge. We're assuming he's going to draw the starts tonight versus Toronto in the absence of OG. How do you feel about the New York and Toronto? And how do you feel about Chalky Dick and Chalky Agbaji? Do we like that? I don't like it, but I get it.
Well, I tend to not be very.
Sorry,
I tend to not be very interested in like strictly 3-point shooters, jump shooters that are going to be chalk. It could really have a bad outcome. So you're asking me about that one, not so much on Gravy Dick, but Agbaji's a little bit different, and he's only 34. I mean, I could probably get behind that one a little bit more. Although I kind of don't like either one of them. It's tough. I'm not really in love. I didn't identify anybody from Toronto that I really had to play tonight. They're all okay. They're fine. They're projecting fine for this matchup. Of course, New York. Lots of minutes. Big game last night. Tight game for all those guys. And now they get to go on the road back to back. It's not easy. So maybe they do got some tired legs and you can take advantage.
The Toronto, New York is pretty close.
Yeah, but you just never want to anytime. I mean, so I don't know. I've always thought it was always overrated anyway, back to back. Like, you're playing basketball, man. We used to go out in the playground and play all day long. How hard can it be? But I've been told it's really tough. So just playing the games is just tough. So
you're not cramming in like the middle seat.
But I would say that. So Jalen Brunson, in my survey portion, I said I'm afraid of being underweight on him, which means I don't know that I'll have a lot of him, but it scares me because he's obviously can catch fire at any time. So he's in the mix. I did identify Mikal Bridges as a guy that I don't mind tonight in this matchup because OG's out. He took 7 3-pointers last night. He's going to take a lot of, and that's against a tough defense for 3-pointers. This is a much more, a cushier matchup for 3-point shooters against Toronto. So Mikal Bridges with extra run, extra shots could definitely light it up from the 3-point range. I like him. And I identify Karl Anthony Towns as a guy I really want to have something in some of my lineups because he got I don't want to say he got shut down last night, but boy, he had a bad game.
He fouled out again. He thought was gonna be a good matchup because Steven Adams didn't play a lot. He was a lot of times found himself with the ball against Jayshawn Tate or against a much smaller guy, and he couldn't take advantage of it. So he had a bad game for his standards. I would expect that, especially if he's going to get a lot of Jakob Poeltl tonight, I would expect he's going to bounce back in a big way. So I love Karl Anthony Towns for GPPs. Bridges, if you watch that game, I remember correctly, he turned an ankle. I guess he's fine. He's officially on the injury report as probable. I don't know if you remember going to the hole. He took a spill, but again, I guess he's okay. Officially probable with the ankle. Quickly revenge, but they've really kind of nursed his minutes. Toronto not really wanting to win, but they've won 8 of their last 10, unfortunately for them. And now they've fallen out of the tankathon. They're 5th worst. They're 4 games behind, New Orleans and Charlotte are in that 3-4 spot. You never really know when the minutes kind of bounce up on quickly. Maybe they get a little bit more run against his old team. But, the first 2 games back from injury was at 15 and 17 minutes. It's tough. It's tough. And it's hard to project. We are projecting a bump up to 23, but you just don't know. And Boucher, again, questionable 17 minutes right now. Brown, questionable 19 minutes right now. Trying to do an if-then as far as if those guys sit out. I don't think we do. I don't think they're considered a priority. But, I guess Shed would get some more run. It's a Landry Shamet revenge game too, right? Am I wrong in saying that? I think that's Boucher is out. There you go. That's what I figured. I figured Boucher is going to be out. I think both are going to be out because somebody might. Bruce Brown's in with his face. He's good to go. Okay. Okay. So Bruce Brown available. Boucher, like in his 15 minutes or so, is out. All right. They will adjust. Does anybody actually benefit? Like, I don't know if anybody really. I guess it makes Dick a little better and it makes Abaji a little bit better, but you're either playing him or you're not. Anything else here as far as Toronto and New York?
Move on, Dean. Move on before you make another outrageous Dick reference.
I'm just saying the guy's name. I'm literally just
crazy.
I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful. I just want to say the person's name. Let's see. We'll talk about my Heat and the Bulls. They are the last of the early games. We will give the people a 4th clue. It looks like the people are struggling a little bit. America's Got Talent was guests. Jay Swift says Rick and Morty. Married with Children from T. Carter. The Tick. That is a deep cut. It is not The Tick. But okay. 4th clue. 4th clue, Chop. This maybe we start getting there. I don't know. This might possibly. Parade. Parade is the 4th clue. Beetlejuice, 2nd. Hot Dog, and Parade. It is not Outlander or Community or The Leftovers, which is an incredible TV show that not enough people watched. If you watch that show, put your phone away. You got to pay attention. All right, let's talk about it. It's Miami. It's the Heat and the Bulls. If you run projections, I saw somebody in the chat earlier asking for cash games, what game are we stacking? For starters, that's not the way to attack cash games. Like, you don't stack a game. However, you're probably going to play like at least 2 players for Miami, if not more, depending on how news comes in. Jimmy Butler, of course, is still out. Some more stories coming out that he's like turning down deals with other teams. Apparently, he really wants to go to Phoenix. I don't know. Who knows what's going on there? But he's not playing basketball tonight for the Heat. Duncan Robinson officially probable with his hip. And Josh Richardson's out. We know Drew Smith is out for the season. Chicago, no THT. Horton Tucker is out with his leg. Jalen Smith is questionable. Don Terry is doubtful. They traded away Levine, of course. So they're pretty thin in Chicago. Some weird things going on. They're not really sure what they're doing with Lonzo. People are interested, but they also might want to sign him. Who knows? There's different things being thrown out there by some that may know and some that may not. But we'll see how things fall in the next 2 days. This is probably the most appealing game on the board when all things are considered, when you consider salary and all that. Would you agree with that, Chop?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So where do you want to start?
I don't know. Where will we start here? Chicago. Is this their first game without Levine?
No.
Since the trade, 2-2, 2-4.
I don't think so. No, they played the other day without him.
Yeah, you're right. They did. Yeah, I mean, they're no Levine to worry about anymore. So I would expect the guards are a little bit more safe here. So we got that going for us. Miami, Vooch against Bam that's not really something I want to go against, but Vooch has been really good lately. But I think I'm gonna stick to the guards here, Giddey or White or IU, but I prefer Kobe White amongst all those guys in the Chicago uniform. So that's where I'm at. It's the Miami guys that you could see are like in really good spot here. In the backcourt, Rozier jumps off because the salary combined with the projection is going to make him jump into the optimals. Huh? What you
How
do
do you
with
feel
that?
about Chalky Terry Rozier?
Yeah. He hasn't been good for like years, man. I don't know. I don't know if I like that at all.
He's
In
been
fact,
getting a lot of minutes, so we'll say that.
that's the scary part. Is
Scary Terry.
getting a lot of minutes. And so
33, 33, 23, 30. That's the last four.
Yeah. But the way we all know the way you attack Chicago, though, and that's at the rim, in the paint, get in there. That's why I like the Bam, especially because of the paint stuff, and then the rebounding. Obviously, Chicago not a good rebounding team. Bam, the best rebounder on the team. You got that. Khalil Ware is right on his heels, 6,100 now, but he does the same things. He's like a little mini Bam, maybe a little bit more versatile, to be honest with you. So
you can shoot some threes.
Yeah, he got that. You got that. Either one of those two guys are really jumping off to me. And then Tyler Hero's just 84 is a good price for a guy that's having this good of a year against Chicago. Pretty big team total here. And, he's going to project well without Butler. And so it's a Miami side that there's like four guys I could see. I wouldn't put four of them in the same lineup, but there's four guys I could see making a case for that are highly rosterable.
I was thinking that, I don't want to box myself in, but I feel like I'm probably going to have one of Bam or Ware in every lineup I make. I just think one of them has a really, really strong game. And it's nice. And I think you can play both, right? Bam is power forward eligible on DK. The Rozier thing, I mean, we like picking on Chicago. It's a little bit shaky. Again, it's all the chalk is pretty fragile. I guess Dick and Agbaji and Rozier, that's the cheap stuff today. We're supposed to, and if you're playing cash games, you're probably playing those three guys. I do like Hero in tournaments, 21% currently on DK. Nikola Jovic is also another, fine player off that bench. Pretty good fantasy point minute player. Trust him more than I do like Highsmith. The Chicago side, like you said, White, Giddey, Ayu, Ball. I probably even have one of those four in every lineup as well. It's just hard to get the Vuk. I just tend to gravitate to the guards. They're just easier to get. And I saw somebody in chat mention Buzelis. You'd have to think they want to get him more run. They're finally, it took the Bulls 3 years too late, but they're realizing let's get out of this. Let's stop running the same team out there. They finally decided to start moving on. Vooch, we'll see if this is last game for Chicago. I don't think they play tomorrow or the next day or whatever, but in theory, he should be on the block, right? Curious to see if he does, where he goes. But you'd have to think that Chicago would want to play Buzelis more. So I think he's an interesting flyer at 4K. Jalen Smith being questionable, if he doesn't go, probably bumps up the ceiling a little bit of Vooch. I don't know how many more minutes he can play, but maybe 35, 36. Maybe Patrick Williams gets a couple extra minutes, maybe. Maybe Buzelis gets an extra minute or two, maybe. But this is my favorite game, and I'm just afraid of it's everybody else's favorite game too. I can see going 2-2 or 2-3 and just having more than half my lineup being from this game. And maybe just getting different elsewhere. But that is where I'm at, Chop.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, Dean.
Let's see. So I think Hoosiers Hang Banner says that he has the correct answer. And I believe producer Steve told me he has the answer. He DM'd him. But I think he's just letting somebody else win because he's won recently. He wants somebody else to get.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, what a nice guy. Chop, you are not correct, by the way. Your guess of the sentence.
I'm off here today. This is not it. These are. I got a feeling when you tell me why these clues are the way they are, I'm going to be like, "Oh, those are terrible clues." D.
Possible. Well, yeah, that's the reaction. Blame somebody else. Don't take
no. They just might legit be terrible clues, but I don't know.
They might be.
I'm trying to go through it in my mind. I have a reasoning. Why would you say Beetlejuice? I have a reason why I think you said Beetlejuice. I have a reason why I think you said second. I might just be way off.
There's very distinct reasons why I said those. And if you knew the reason why, it would help you whittle down pretty quickly. But I don't know if it's super obvious as to why I said it. So it's kind of tricky, I suppose. Somebody said Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Was that a TV show as well? They didn't make that a TV show, did they? That's just one episode. He takes the entire series. He's not, and it's not the Addams Family or Wednesday or any version of that, or How I Met Your Mother or Ozark or 60 Minutes, which would be hilarious. If 60 Minutes was the answer, just a funny answer to have. Okay, that is the end, Chop, of the first 5 games. And again, we kind of have a back half of the doubleheader and a slate 7-gamer. It's sort of split in half. The back half of the TNT doubleheader, Battle of Los Angeles. Before we do that, we're going to kindly ask y'all hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. Still, an hour and change till we get to lock. Crunch time coming in about 20 minutes or so. Kevin Roth, Kyle Murray, Neil Orfield. You got the Flannelverse in full effect. Chop, do you have any over-under, Chop, number of pieces of flannel in your wardrobe? Over-under a half. A half. Where is the sharp money in that? Do you have one piece of... I think people either have like 12 pieces of flannel or no pieces of flannel. You're either all in or all out in flannel. I think. Maybe it's a bad read.
Okay, define flannel. Like, what exactly is flannel? Like, is it just a plaid pattern?
I think so. I'm not the authority on flannel. Maybe Neil can answer that. I don't know if he's lurking in chat or not, but maybe we can ask him when he jumps. But yeah, I think it's just. I think it's, you know it when you see it.
If it's just a piece, if it's just a plaid pattern, like checkerboard pattern, then yeah, I do have a piece. If you're talking about traditional flannel shirt like those guys are wearing, yeah, I don't have that. But that's a tricky question.
Yeah, I think also flannel might have a certain texture to it as well, like a certain thickness to it. Maybe I'm probably overthinking it now.
But I will tell you this much, Dean. Today I did finally break down and order me a pair of pants from Amazon.
Okay.
That have the pockets or zip up, because I just, like today I was out, went to go get some breakfast with the wife.
Sure.
The pants, man, these pants, if the pockets are too thin, your phone's like halfway out, it feel like it's gonna fall out in the restaurant when you sit down. So I had to break down and get me a pair of pants that got a zipper, so I can just zip my phone and my wallet up in my pants now. Nobody can pickpocket me if I'm out in public. They can't pickpocket me, and my phone won't. I'm looking forward to these pants coming in from Amazon.
You ever see you ever go down the rabbit hole of like, this is what it looked like at Amazon, this is what looked like it showed up, like a lot of times, not always, but sometimes Amazon doesn't do their due diligence as far as the people that are selling their stuff on there.
I would rebut that, Dean. I would rebut that and say I've actually gotten some shorts off of Amazon.
Yeah,
that are really good. Like my favorite pair that I wear, are from Amazon. They're awesome.
There's some hits. It's a GPP play, is all I'm saying.
You got to put your research in as a consumer. You can't just be like, let me just, the first thing that pops up that's cheap, let me get it. No, you gotta do your research.
By the way, our poll, Chop, you might be surprised to learn. Who would you rather have in the next 5 years, Tyrese Maxey or Amon Thompson? 66% for Thompson.
Maybe a little recency bias after last night.
Possibly. But I clicked Thompson as well. All right. Oh, do you want to? Let's give the people the fifth clue, right? We already have somebody that solved it, but they're kindly just stepping aside. We'll give the people the fifth clue. Wait, we do have a winner. We actually do have a winner in chat. So I'll drop the clue, but now you're just playing out the string. The last clue is watermelon. Watermelon is the last clue. So it's Beetlejuice, second, hot dog, parade, and watermelon. Shout out to Coach Wilcox for guessing our TV show today. Winning a week free of RG Premium. Okay, let's talk about the Lake Show. Lakers in Clippers. In Clippers? They're both in LA. It's going to be at the Intuit Dome. 221 is the total back half of the TNT doubleheader. Clippers are 8-point favorites. Just weird to see Luka Doncic out with a calf. DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith, he's available. LeBron's available with his foot. Maxi Kleber, they're saying he's going to be out for a while. He's got a foot. He's not available. Gabe Vincent is probable. Cam Reddish is doubtful. As far as the Clippers, they are clean. They're clean. Cam Christie is out, but that doesn't matter. They are fully healthy and good to go. How do we feel about the Battle of Los Angeles here, Chop? How do you feel with the Lakers versus Clippers? What do we like?
Well, I just got a notification that Şengün is a game time decision, so maybe that's why Steven Adams hasn't been ruled out. Like I was thinking earlier, maybe he's not like a lock to play tonight, Şengün.
It's a weird downgrade.
If he plays, maybe Adams doesn't. If he doesn't play, Adams needs to play. So Şengün, you got to keep your, and that's a big one too, because he could have crushed tonight.
Yeah, well, would Jock Landell, would he be somebody that could be something?
Isn't he out? I mean,
he was out the other day. I think
I'd have to look back on it, but I think he was out, and I think that's part of the reason why they had like Jayshawn Tate and these weird rotations last night.
He's questionable on the injury report with an illness. I think he was ill the other day, but he's now still questionable. So,
well, that was just last night. So,
yeah. So if we somehow lose Şengün and possibly lose Adams, we'll see. Just keep an eye on it.
No, I don't think you lose Adams if Şengün can't play. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and there's Jeff Green still there, who's 38 years old, but
he fills a spot, so I get it. He's all right. He's a vet. You gotta have those kind of guys on your team. Clippers, Lakers. I don't know about the Clippers. Are pretty decent. I mean, we got no AD. We had no AD for a couple of games prior to the trade anyway, so we kind of get a feel for it. Jackson Hayes is okay, and Rui Hachimura is okay, and you can go that route. Austin Reeves is going to be a pretty decent play. LeBron is pretty expensive, but if you want to go that route, it's fine too. It's the Clipper side that I really like. It's start off with Zubac, who somebody in chat earlier mentioned. For shout out to Mardon. I gotta give my shout out to Yeezy. He's in chat today, friend of the program. Somebody in chat earlier mentioned Zubac. I like Zubac quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Lakers were already pretty rough at defending that painted area, and now you don't have AD. So I think Zubac, there's a chance he could absolutely smash in this spot. So I like that one quite a bit. They're healthy now, though, so it kind of downgrades.
That's the rebut. That's the only that's the only pushback I have on it is that they're healthier. Kawhi's playing the most minutes we've seen him play. They have Harden, they have Powell, so he's kind of the fourth option, But I agree. I agree with your premise in theory.
And I would say that if you want something sneaky, and I don't know how sneaky it's going to be. I don't know what the ownership updated looks like, but Norman Powell's cheap enough now. He's still playing good minutes, even with Kawhi back and playing minutes. He's still playing good, still getting a lot of shot attempts. And I think that without AD protecting the rim, he's the one guy. Zubac is the post up, grab an offensive rebound, put it back. That's how he's going to attack the rim or attack the paint. Powell attacks the paint. He attacks the rim with his drives. So he has a pretty decent shot. Kawhi's not doing that these days. Kawhi's doing those mid-range pull-ups and three-pointers. James Harden does a lot of different stuff too, but Powell is a rim attacker. So no AD, no rim protection he could blow up tonight too.
Just taking a look at the ownership stuff as far as this game, we have Rui at 20%, which it's just like he's going to be on the court for 30 minutes. He's not great, but he should be like fine-ish. I don't love it, but again, I don't love a lot of stuff in that kind of range. You mentioned Powell coming in at 15% on DK. We forgot about the Zubac revenge. Yeah, it's been a while, but another revenge spot for the slate. Ivica Zubac.
I don't even remember him playing for the Lakers. I don't know why I'm completely.
Yeah, he was
out.
I think he played there for a couple of years. Was he the backup?
Oh man, I think I vaguely remember it now.
Yeah, it took me a second too, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And he was always a good fantasy point per minute player. But I'm trying to remember how he was shipped out. I'm pretty sure he was traded, but I don't recall. Let's see if we can give it a quick Google. Let us know. Lakers trade Michael Beasley and Ivica Zubac to the Clippers for Mike Muscala. What?
Speaking of Tyrese Maxey.
Wow.
Speaking of Tyrese Maxey, the only reason Philly got Tyrese Maxey was because Muscala hit a three-pointer. I think it was in the bubble. I want to say it was in the bubble or the year before on the last possession of the last game of the year, which caused Philly to lose the game instead of win it, which gave them that draft pick, which would have been forfeited to somebody else. Something along those lines. The only reason Philly got him is because Muscala hit a three-pointer in a meaningless game at the end of the year. So that's the only reason Philly was able to draft Maxey. So that's weird, dude. Think full circle. How you like that?
Yeah, it reminds me. This is really, really off the reservation, but when the Marlins threw a no-hitter in game 162. I think it was a walk-off no-hitter, which you never see. They score like a run in the bottom of the ninth or the bottom of the 10th. They ended up falling a game behind the Giants as far as draft stuff. And the Giants took Buster Posey, and the Marlins took Kyle Skipworth, another two catchers that were basically seen as the same guy. And it's just amazing how such a little innocuous thing can, completely divert the path of a franchise one way or another. Okay. Let's go ahead and tell the people we got one more game. We got Indiana and Portland. Portland's been playing really good, by the way. They've kind of graduated from the tankathon, which I guess good for them and bad for them. We'll discuss. But let's go ahead and do you want to work out the? I can give you a couple more clues. Do you want to take one final guess?
My last guess was in living color.
It is not in living color.
Okay.
What if I said debauchery?
No, I just don't think I'm on the right path today.
Okay, so Beetlejuice was the first clue. Well, you remember Beetlejuice? You know Beetlejuice, right?
Yes.
What was his catchphrase? What did he say? What's like his big catchphrase?
Oh man, see that's where I went wrong. Was Beetlejuice? I know what you're talking about, but I don't recall the actual catchphrase.
Showtime.
Okay.
So that was telling you where this TV show aired. This TV show aired on Showtime. Second is in reference to the location of where this show takes place. It's known as Second City. Famously, there's a big improv there called Second City. It's called Second City because they've allegedly built the city twice because of the fire in 1871. In Chicago, the fire, I think that was started by the cow, right? Didn't the cow get blamed for that? So yeah, now we know where it's a Showtime show that takes place in Chicago. The third clue is hot dog. What's another way of saying hot dog? What's another way of saying I'll have a hot dog? I'll have a
wiener.
Wiener. Okay. What else? Yeah.
A Frank.
Yeah. There you go. A Frank. Yes.
Oh, is it okay. I got you now. All right. Showtime. That's one of my favorite shows. That was one of my favorite shows.
I knew you liked this show too.
It's golly. Okay. The Beetlejuice Showtime got me because the rest of it was based off of that. I'm thinking there's a actor from Beetlejuice that starred in a show. That's where I needed to go. I had Beetlejuice equaling Showtime. Completely threw me off.
So hot dog is for Frank. Clue number 4 is parade. I think it's still a thing, right? Isn't it still a thing on Thanksgiving? The Thanksgiving Day parade. What is it called? Who sponsors that parade? I think it's still Macy's, right? I'm pretty sure it's still Macy's. And who plays Frank? William H. Macy.
Yep.
And watermelon is a reference to the the comedian who's the Gallagher. Who's Frank Gallagher is the character name. All the characters are Gallaghers, most of them. He would smash watermelons. That was his whole thing. Yeah. Remember Gallagher? It's not a very topical. But
he was
the one thing he's known for.
Yeah, I remember Gallagher. He was. I remember watching some late night comedies back when I was a little bitty old kid with some Gallagher and some George Carlin and stuff.
Yeah, hippie. He was like the hippie comedian, and his whole stick was his closer was smashing
fruit. Smashing the fruit. He had he has a twin brother, right?
It's if you ever go down the rabbit hole, he had to sue him because his brother was touring as Gallagher as well. Gallagher was playing in Seattle and
stealing his bit. Crazy.
He looked just like him. It's brilliant. It's amazing. It's a great story.
And people wonder why I don't want to leave the kids money because money breaks up families, sir. Money breaks up families.
There's going to be another
it becomes the priority.
Pacers play the Blazers. 233.5 is the total. The Blazers are 5-point dogs. Are kind of. I mentioned the tankathon thing. The Blazers have won 8 of their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. They're currently the 9th worst team in the league, just tumbling hard out of the tankathon. So they're in a tricky spot now. I saw a tweet earlier today that apparently they're trying to get a first rounder for Robert Williams, protected or not protected. Good luck with that. I don't think that's happening, but he's probably going to get traded at some point. I guess you'd think so. Just kind of put that in your back pocket. But their injury report that they're on the back half of back-to-back, both these teams in the back half of back-to-back, you would think there'd be some kind of shenanigans with Portland, but no. It's just Matisse Thybulle, who's been out, I think, the entire season. He's still out as far as Portland. No, as far as Indiana. Naismith is questionable. Miles Turner, who was out last night, is questionable. Nothing else new. Wiseman's out for the year. Jackson's out for the year. But, some of us held steady last night for the Turner news, pivoted to Thomas Bryant, who was pretty terrible. And Obi Toppin wasn't very good either. But in theory, they're both playable again. We saw I love the nickname. I don't like the player, but Dominatin. You see Dominatin get his revenge against Phoenix. DeAndre Dominatin was spectacular last time out. Pacers, Blazers. What do you got for me?
He's been good recently,
I know.
He's been really good. So that's – and he's – let me see here.
This is why you can never say never again. You never again.
No, I didn't never. I'm the one who played him and ran off the court here a while back.
Yeah.
He's a semi-chalk. About 20 to 25%, I would imagine, is what the range is going to be right there. And 65, it's a good matchup. He's good, projecting really well. You can go back to him. I think you can. So you got that going for you. They got some good players. V is a good, solid role player. Simons is a good, solid player. Yeah, I think either one of those guys is in play. I don't think I want to go Grant, Sharp, or Scoot Henderson. So I'll be out on those guys. And if you do a Portland, it feels like maybe this is a good late night game stack if you were into that kind of thing, because Indiana can score also, and Portland not all that formidable on defense, so you can go run it back with it. Miles Turner's been really good lately.
We didn't play last night. Is he playing tonight? What do you think? Think they rested him?
I tell you what, even more reason to have a little mini game stack and keep some spots open for it, because if he doesn't, then you can adjust and do some other things with it. But if he does play, he has a really good track record against DeAndre Ayton, as do most pure centers, if you know what I mean.
He's not a great defender.
Yeah, he's not good, and he has a really good track record against him. So, Miles Turner, if he's going to be questionable, we keep some spots open. I like to have him in there anyway, just because I think he's in a good game here. So now there's some pieces to this game that look interesting, to say the least. Nothing's too overly expensive. The most expensive guy in this game is Halliburton. He's only 8,500, and he projects for over 40 points. So it's a pretty good game here altogether. But it feels like I would rather stack it than just kind of one-off a guy. I don't know. That's just me.
If you are one-offing Turner, you can just straight go to Dominating, same price. But again, if you have Turner, you have the most likely you have the Clippers definitely you have the Clippers and the Lakers to work with as well. They're both at 10 o'clock as well. Just trying to think if you want it. I'm not ready to give up on, I guess is what I'm saying. I think there's still a hope for a guy like Bryant to put up 30 points, and he's still 3K, right? If we lose Turner. He did close last night as well. So I just think those guys should be in your pool, worth considering. If you're sort of thinking if we happen to lose Turner. And again, I have no idea if he's going to play or not. He didn't play yesterday. Jeremy Grant, also another guy that's on the block. Not saying he's not going to play. Just kind of be aware of these things. Williams as well, probably no longer with Portland in the next 3 days from now. We do have crunch time coming in here momentarily. We got Kyle Murray. We have Neil Orfield, the Flannelverse in full effect, as well as Kevin Roth. Coming in just a second. Chop, give me your slate breaker. Who do we have breaking the slate today?
Breaking the slate today, man. It's a tough one, Dean. I think I'm going to go price adjusted. Let's go Zubac, man. I hate to go center only, but I just feel like it's worth the risk here of putting him in there and hoping that the Anthony Davis-less LA Lakers are just really futile on the inside defensively, and he just puts up a 20-20 or something like that.
Blackman and chat, 2 best value plays FanDuel tournaments. I'll tell you, according to Lineup HQ, point per dollar, our best point per dollar play on FanDuel right now This stuff, he's going to grab a whole bunch of ownership. That's Precious Achua, currently at 62%, which is a monster number. And then the two heaters. You got Ware, you got Superman himself, as well as Bam Adebayo. That also speaks to the slate, right? Bam is 8-1, and he's the third best point per dollar play, which is 5.25x. Not a monster number, but that's what we have. And you mentioned Cam Whitmore. I like that call as well. I just don't love that he's going to be, I guess, more on DK, probably more popular on DK. We're only seeing 10% on FanDuel. Earlier, I saw about 20% for Whitmore on DK. And Rozier's in that mix. We didn't refresh Toronto. Did anything change with Boucher out? That's only like 15 minutes or so being delegated. So I'm guessing nobody really jumped up. Let's see. We got Barnes 35, Pirtle 31, Dick 30. 30 Dick minutes is probably pretty good. Agbaji 27, Quickly 21, which is that's just really hard to project. But
I feel like maybe you're just doing this on purpose now, Dean.
I'm just reading the lineup HQ. Like, I don't know. The guy who's got that name that sounds like something else, like that's just confusing. I'm not going to disrespect the man. I'm going to say his name. Just trying to see. We have 19 minutes for Brown. It doesn't really change a lot, is the long story short. I think Dick might have got a couple extra minutes. Maybe Agbaji as well. Chop, who's the player you're most afraid of not having? Like, are we doing one lineup, 3 lineups, 5 lineups? Who's the one that's you're most afraid of being under the field on?
3 lineups. And I kind of mentioned him earlier, but against Toronto, it scares me not to have Jalen Brunson. He can he's kind of like minutes proof. Back-to-back doesn't matter. He's going to play a lot anyway, and it's a good matchup, and it could be competitive. It scares me not to have Jalen Brunson, but I don't think I will in any of my 3 lineups.
The chat is telling me that I can just call him Grady. I guess I can do that. I suppose we can do that. KJ Martin.
Trade pending.
What?
KJ Martin's trade pending, so he's going to get traded here.
Oh, okay. Did both Martins get traded in the same day? They did, right? Yeah. Okay. The anticipation, it is palpable for sure.
This is already probably one of the big time trade deadline. It's not even trade deadline, but in-season trades between Luka and then De'Aaron Fox, who we didn't even mention, going with Wemby, which I think is massive trade. It's already popping. This is going to go down as the most electric trade deadline trade season ever in the NBA, I believe.
Well, we peaked too soon, right? There's nothing left, right?
Well, in totality, when they look back on it, 5-10 years from now, they're going to say, wow, what a trade season that 2025 was.
But like nothing of the magnitude. Like the Luka trade is the biggest trade in our lifetime, I think.
Yeah, you can't. There's nothing that could topple that. But now we're just the different pieces. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go ahead and bring in crunch time. I know Kyle's coming here in just a second. We have Neil Orfield and his flannel verse. Maybe you can answer all your flannel questions, Chop. And then the greatest weatherman / sports bettor of all time, it's Kevin Roth. Let's bring in crunch time right now. Roth with the call last night for the Amen Thompson triple dub. Did you get a lot of DMs or people showing you some love? That people, you put my mind on it. I was like, yeah, let's do that. And I guess you couldn't do it yourself because you're in the wrong state, unfortunately, for that. But you at least help the people out, Roth.
Yeah, as it turns out, you were the only one who had faith in me. I think you might have been the only person who bet it. And I was so proud that you didn't put down like $5. You put down like $70. You were like, my guy Roth knows what he's talking about. Triple dub at plus 1,500. And we smashed it, Dean. We did it.
I tried to hit the mat. Like they cut me off. I was trying to get like 80 or something. I don't know what number I was trying to get. And they said, no, that's too much. You might know something. We're going to $66.67. That's it. That's all we're going to let you put on it. So, shout out to you. Chop, did you have a flannel relevant question for Neil? I thought it was pertinent. Did you recall what you're...
Well, we were talking and you asked me over under and I had, I was like, what really defines the flannel? Because there's a flannel shirt like Neil's wearing right now, but I was referring to, you asked me if I had flannel and I said, yes, it's a pair of pajamas that are plaid pattern. I don't know if that counts as flannel or not. So maybe Neil has some insight.
In my opinion, so I think that this is up for debate. The buffalo plaid would be like this. This pattern is buffalo plaid. This is also flannel material. So officially, no. Like I bought some because it gets super hot in Minnesota in the summers. People don't know that, but for the brand, I bought some short-sleeved buffalo plaid shirts that are not actually flannel material, but I think it's good enough to call that flannel. So my ruling is, yeah, if it's buffalo plaid, you can call that flannel. That's totally fine. There are people who are bigger sticklers than me who might disagree, though.
Interesting.
Are there snobs in the Flannelverse?
Oh, yeah. In Minnesota, there was a whole you may recall Tim Walz for a little while was big name in the country, was wearing flannel, and a lot of people were fighting back on the idea that if it's not actual flannel material, that's not flannel. It became, for a little while, there was a conversation among some people here in Minnesota about no, that's buffalo plaid, that's not flannel. There's a big distinction. So yeah, there is apparently that I didn't know until this year that there are actually some snobs out there.
Interesting. Well, you keep saying buffalo flannel. How many different varieties of flannel are there? Can you run off a whole bunch? Like, you don't have to do it, but is there a whole bunch I'm not aware of?
I didn't even know that there were multiple until this year. So I'd be lying if I told, but I assume there's hundreds that we just don't know about, because that's always how things go. If you really want to dig in, I'm sure there's a million different types of flannel and, buffalo plaid and different patterns that I just don't know about.
All right. Do answer the question. By the way, the poll question in chat is myself and Chop. Step aside and get out here. You guys can discuss next 5 years. Next 5 years, forget the money, all that nonsense. Who do you want to have as an asset? Do you want Tyrese Maxey or Amen Thompson? Next 5 years. Currently leading the poll is Amen Thompson. We'll leave that for you, Roth, myself, and Chop. We're stepping inside. We're getting out of here. You got 37 minutes for crunch time. Good luck, everybody. Win some money. Take something down. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. It's two of the sharpest minds in the biz. By the way, for me, it's Amen Thompson, and it's because he might be the best defensive player I've seen other than Wemby. Like, he is outrageous on the defensive end. And oh, by the way, he puts up triple doubles and hits game winners. He's freaking fantastic. I love that dude. So happy that I am in his city. So happy to be joined by a couple sharps in the industry here. Got Kyle Murray in the house. What up, brother? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. My first show with Neil. I'm looking forward to it. I've been following his stuff for quite some time. We've had some conversations, so I'm pumped to do a show with him now.
And you have already learned more about flannels and patterns, flannels and patterns than you ever thought than you'll ever need to know. Neil, thank you. It's not every day you learn something when you're like 40 years old, but today I have learned something. Buffalo plaid is the pattern that most people envision when they think of plaid, correct?
I just learned that this year. To be clear, I did not know that prior to this year, that whole conversation happening. But yeah, that is buffalo plaid is the pattern that we're talking about. And yeah, I'm also excited to be doing a show with Kyle. We have had a conversation, a video call at one point. I don't know, a few years back when I was deciding where I was going to start doing some content, we had a conversation. So I'm glad that things have come full circle, and now I get to work with Kyle. Of course, I work with his projections all the time. So that's always something. Kyle, are you doing the projections today, or do we have more than one person? I just don't know about it.
Yeah, we have a team. I think it's 3 of us on the NBA side,
okay.
3 or 4. But today's my off day, so I get to do a show instead.
Beautiful.
Very good. Well, we're stoked to be able to get you two together and to get content from both of you. I want to give a shout out to Chop really quick, because when I was going through Lineup HQ, I saw somebody had tagged what I thought was going to be sneaky play here, going with Cam Whitmore. And then I saw he had a tag in Lineup HQ, and it was Chop. And that tells me Chop knows what's up, because I think that one's going to work out pretty well for us. But I am not here to give out plays and give out plus 1,500 winners on triple dubs. That's my job. I just throw that in occasionally. I am here to listen to y'all and walk us through this slate. Kyle, could you give me a rundown on just like what's happened, what could still happen, just to catch people up maybe that haven't been paying attention all day long?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, in terms of being so close to the trade deadline, I'm sure maybe I'm jinxing it now, but we did get some news early on a trade. Quentin Grimes and Caleb Martin both on the slate. They swapped teams. So those guys are obviously out. Hopefully there's no more trade news throughout lock and, maybe even mid-game. But in terms of guys who are already out, some of them are involving previous trades, obviously the Anthony Davis and Luka trade, which obviously, broke Twitter for a while. PJ Washington also out for Dallas, so they're pretty shorthanded. So obviously you have Grimes, Washington, Davis, obviously Luka gone, so Dallas pretty shorthanded. Van Vliet is out for Houston, as we saw him, and Thompson obviously step into a massive role yesterday. Have a big game. Paul George is a big name that's out. Jimmy Butler, obviously, no need to comment there any further. We've heard enough about that. OG Anunoby is another big name. RJ Barrett also out with concussion. And then the big questionable guys, 2 Pacers players, Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith. Both those guys are currently questionable. I would say those are probably the 2 big Q tags remaining, and then a couple other small guys, Jock Landale and Jalen Smith, kind of wrapping up the guys who are questionable.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that rundown. I feel fully caught up, and now I'm very interested in Dallas. I feel like PJ Washington's the only guy on that team who gets things done. Like he kind of does. He does a lot for them. So I'm going somewhere there on Dallas. I don't know where yet. Quentin Grimes traded, right? Didn't we talk about that? We
did.
Yeah. Okay, Neil, let's dive into it. We like to start on FanDuel. We like to start at point guard. What are we doing?
Yep, and actually, I just ran a shorter crunch because I wanted to make sure I have some. I'm actually playing 20 lineups on FanDuel today, which I usually, when I'm doing shows, I don't play on FanDuel at all, but I just couldn't help myself today. So I'm currently in the middle of a crunch, but I think I'm ready to get started at point guard. Currently, the point guards that I am getting to the most of, and this is in order of how much I'm getting to them. So if I name a lot of names, just know the first names I mentioned are the players that I'm getting to the most. Tyler Herro is the one I'm getting to the most, and then his teammate Terry Rozier at 5,100 on FanDuel. Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Simons, Drew Holiday, Kyrie Irving, Josh Giddey, Lonzo Ball, and Darius Garland, the final player that I'm getting to in double digits. Just scrolling to see if there's anybody else that I want to get to in double digits. I don't think that there's anybody else that I plan to give a boost to make sure I get to double digits, and obviously unless we get news. So I think that is the list for me right now.
Okay, very good. Kyle, your favorites at point?
A lot of the names that Neil mentioned are going to be in my player pool as well. I think you make a strong case up top with Brunson here to have either him or Karl-Anthony Towns in a lot of lineups, like both of these guys. Obviously, we saw Jalen Brunson have a big usage hike. He had a 44% usage rate last game. I think some people are going to probably assume that's because of OG Anunoby being out. I don't think that's a huge reason. Obviously, it doesn't hurt. It certainly helps a little bit, but I don't think we're necessarily going to be able to count on a 44% usage rate once again. So I do like Karl-Anthony Towns as well. Good match for both those guys on Toronto, but obviously that relates to Jalen Brunson maybe playing one or two of those guys. I like the Rozier call. Obviously, I was a little concerned with the projection for him last game, coming into his first game after some of the allegations of the scandal behind him, but played 32 minutes, had a pretty solid game. So it was good to see that they were at least playing him at a full rate and not necessarily allowing that to affect his playing time. So hopefully all that kind of blows over and ends up, in my opinion, hopefully not being true. But both Chicago guards, I also like Josh Giddey and Kobe White with no Zach LaVine after being traded away to the Kings. We're going to see usage bumps for both of these guys with LaVine off the floor, Kobe White up over 27%, Josh Giddey just under 23% usage rate. Obviously, we know Giddey can kind of fill up the stat sheet as well. And then Neil mentioned Tyler Herro. He's probably the top spend-up option for me, either between him or Jalen Brunson. And you can make a case for Kyrie Irving here as well. A little lower ownership compared to Brunson and Herro, but obviously with no Luka and again with no PJ Washington now, he does have a solid usage rate here for us.
Yeah, I like it. Did get a couple questions at point. Eric and Dez say, how about Garland and Halliburton? Any interest in either of them, Kyle?
They're both in a tough price range. Garland's 7,800. Let me see what Halliburton's price on FanDuel is, 8,900. So they kind of get priced out for me. I think between those five guys in that range, Irving, Brunson, and Herro, I like a lot more than the other two. So difficult to get to those two. And obviously you even have the spend up option of Tyrese Maxey if you wanted to go there and look for a guy sub 5% projected ownership right now. And then obviously Donovan Mitchell in that same price range as well. So I think they're fine, but again, they just kind of get priced out because of other guys in the range for me.
Okay, and then before we move to shooting guard, can literally, with PJ Washington out and everybody else out in Dallas, can anyone score on Dallas except Kyrie Irving? Can anyone on the team get their own shot and score?
The first guy that I think of is Jaden Hardy. He's
that was my thought too, but is he even does he get enough minutes?
Yeah, we only have him for 15 minutes here, so it's difficult with that, but he is definitely a shot creator. So, maybe he gets hot and earns a few more minutes, but I do think it's difficult to still play him here just because we only, again, have him projected for 15 minutes. They do have Max Christie joining the team. He's going to be available tonight. Dante Exum returned a couple games ago on the wing to get some minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie as well. He'll have some usage rate and obviously a decent assist rate there for Dinwiddie. But yeah, you make a good point. It's mostly going to be Kyrie kind of working the show here.
Yeah, I'm in on Kyrie. I'm in big on Kyrie tonight. Okay, take me to shooting guard, Kyle. What do you like there?
Yeah, so again, some of these guys do carry over. Tyler Hero, Josh Giddey, Kyrie Irving, you can play at shooting guard, Rozier as well. But in terms of guys we haven't talked about yet, Amen Thompson here. Again, he's just, I think a lot of people forget, like he's just playing all the minutes in the world too. So it's like, even if he doesn't have a great game efficiency-wise, he still has so many, paths to getting there between the stocks as well as just, playing 38 to 40 minutes. He had that big game last night, and honestly, 37 minutes in a game that came down to literally the final second, you could argue he missed out on 2 to 3 minutes there as well. So, yeah, definitely like Amen Thompson. Once again, here we saw the assist rate go up, the usage rate go up as well. And, even obviously with Şengün still being, being back for this one, you do have the case of he's still a strong rebounder as well. So Amen Thompson, fantastic play once again here. I do like Jalen Green as well. He had the less exciting game last night. Obviously, people are going to be flocking back to Amen Thompson, but Jalen Green had a 34% usage rate, and that's pretty consistent with his stats with Van Vliet off the floor this year. He just didn't really make any shots, and he had 5 shots blocked around the basket as well. So he just kind of got unlucky, in my opinion, as well. So I do think Jalen Green's a good bounce back candidate as well.
Good stuff. Neil, your favorites there at shooting guard.
Yep, and it's a lot of the same players. Harrow, Rozier, just love the matchup with the Bulls. Obviously, the fast pace there. Dick getting to a lot at 4,600. Phrasing doing that for Dean, getting to a lot of Dick here. Ayo Dosunmu. I'm also getting to a lot of Amen Thompson, Kobe White, Duncan Robinson, who he was just ruled in, right? That's that was the latest. We just got some news right as the show is starting. Yeah, available. Donovan Mitchell, Jrue Holiday, Anthony Simons, Dylan Brooks, Josh Giddey, Kyrie, and that is it for me as far as double digits goes. The one when we're doing the Dallas conversation, Klay Thompson, we don't consider Klay Thompson as because he doesn't like create his own shots. Is he not in that conversation as somebody who can provide offense?
No, he cannot. He cannot provide he can't get his own shots. He does not provide offense. No,
he can shoot, but he can't, in my opinion, create his own shot. He's
I remember there was a game. To your point, there was a game where he had like a ton of points, and it was like he dribbled it like twice for the entire game. I forget what that was. It was a long time ago.
3 dribbles and like 50 points that game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that was funny. Okay, all right, fair enough.
By the way, the last time I besmirched Klay, he hit I think 7 or 8 threes in the first quarter, and that was like a couple weeks ago. So for what it's worth, it is doable. Okay, anyone else there at shooting guard you want to add?
No, I think I named everybody having double digits.
Great. Okay, take me to small forward. By the way, Dean pointing out that Şengün is a game time decision. So if he's out, we get Amen in the same spot where he's like the facilitator.
For what it's worth, though, he is probable. So a lot of times teams just say game time decision or there's just a report, but he's probable. So I would say he's probably going to play.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Kind of weird,
small
weird
forward
in there, but yeah.
Yeah, small forward. What do you like, Neil?
Again, getting to, I'll call him Grady this time. Marv just said you have to say it every time, so I'll call him Grady as my top owned small forward currently. Then LeBron, like LeBron quite a bit. Cam Whitmore, not actually that sneaky. I'm sorry to tell you, Roth. He's probably getting a good amount of ownership.
Yeah.
Amen Thompson again looks great. Duncan Robinson, Josh Hart, even at 7,900, getting to a good amount of Josh Hart, Jason Tatum, Zaire Williams, Dylan Brooks, Matas Buzelis, Denny Avdia, Jeremy Grant, and Scotty Barnes, the only other player I'm getting to in double digits currently. And I don't think there's anybody else that I'm planning on boosting up more than that.
Okay. Kyle, your favorites at small forward?
Yeah, up at the top, obviously, with LeBron and Tatum up here. Obviously, LeBron, all his rates go up pretty significantly. With no Anthony Davis, he's had a 38% usage rate or higher in both of the last 2 games. The assist rate has actually been higher as well, which is encouraging because historically over the last couple of years, his assist rate goes down. Obviously, not being able to lob the ball into a 7-footer for easy dunks and layups is going to hurt your assist rate at times, but still strong assist numbers over the last 2 games, 12 and 11 in those games. So I think LeBron's in a good spot here. Obviously, difficult matchup, but the usage rates I do think kind of make up for that. Thompson at 8,600 on FanDuel is a very strong play. Denny Avdia as well. these guys played a ton of minutes. Portland guys did last night. They obviously went to overtime against the Suns, and even if they didn't play in overtime, pretty much all their starters were playing 36 to 38 plus minutes. So you kind of wonder if they're going to go back to, these guys playing, monster minutes, even though the game is projected to be close based on, 4.5 point spread. But if the game stays close, I think they're going to play 32 to 33 plus minutes again. So Denny, I think, is a strong play here in this matchup against the Pacers. I like Josh Hart a little bit as well against Toronto. He does get kind of priced out in this range. I think I like Avdia for cheaper and Thompson for a little bit more, but either way, I do think he's a decent tournament play. And then for some salary relief, Cam Whitmore, Grady Dick as well. Also, don't mind Zaire Williams. You have him projected for 31 minutes tonight. He's coming off of the big game a few days ago against Houston, where he played 36 minutes, had nearly 40 fantasy points. So don't mind going back to him there. Pretty similar situation. Again, no Ben Simmons, which I think really helps him. Obviously, he's going to be in the starting lineup and probably see 30 plus minutes pretty easily again. So I don't mind going back to Zaire Williams.
Kyle, can we talk about Jayshawn Tate real quick? We had somebody in the chat mention him. He seems like he would be next man up with Tari Eason out. Any interest there? On DK, he's 3-1. I don't know what he is on FanDuel. 3-6, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they go back to him in the starting lineup. Obviously, they kind of went with a small ball lineup last game with no Şengün. They kept Adams off the bench as well. So we have him for 21 minutes, 22 minutes. 23 minutes here currently. So I think that's a pretty good projection there. I probably wouldn't move that at all. And because, even if he does start, not guaranteed to play, regular normal starter minutes, because you do have Cam Whitmore coming off the bench. But I think you can play Tate, but I would not do it alongside Cam Whitmore. If anything, I think it's more of a leverage play off of Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, well said, man. Okay, how about power forward?
With the top, Bam projects pretty well for us here. 35 minutes is where we have him minutes wise. And if this game stays close, that could end up being a couple minutes low. He's played 36 plus minutes in 4 straight games, 37 minutes in 3 straight games, regulation minutes as well. Obviously, had that overtime game against Orlando. He's obviously seeing more touches, more usage with no Jimmy Butler. Obviously, the Khalil Ware situation kind of popped up, and we were a little bit worried about the Bam Adebayo usage and all that stuff, but he's kind of quickly quieted those rumors. There are 21 shots last game, so I do think Bam's going to be in a good spot here in a great matchup against the Bulls. Precious, we project for him to start again with no Anunoby. Played 34 minutes last game when he started. We know he's a pretty good permanent guy. You can't really count on the same rates that we saw last year because he's more so playing alongside Karl-Anthony Towns, while last year we saw him playing, more standalone 5. So his rebounding rate has been lower this year, but still think he's more than fine here at 5'2". Other guys I like, LeBron again at power forward, Pascal Siakam, Denny I mentioned. Porzingis I actually like quite a bit here. It feels strange seeing Boston being underdogs, but they are here against a great Cleveland team, and I do think that will lead to a lot of these Boston guys playing top-end minutes. So 32 minutes for Porzingis I think could be reasonable, 37, 38 for Tatum, and then a couple other value guys, Najee Marshall with a lot of these guys out, and then Jovic and Justin Edwards are value guys that I like.
Okay, very good. Neil, your favorites at power forward?
Yep. So at power forward, getting to a ton of Precious at the moment. He is my highest owned power forward on FanDuel in particular. I don't think it looks nearly as good on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, getting to a ton. Bam Adebayo, LeBron, Josh Hart again, Jason Tatum. That game is just good defenses, but those totals really high, and the game should be really close. We could see big minutes here, so I really do like Tatum quite a bit. Scotty Barnes, I gave a little bit of a bump to. Kristaps also, I gave him a little bit of a bump to make sure that I was in double digits with Kristaps. Agree there. Just love the game environment. Booz Allis looks like he is one of the best, probably the best value option at power forward. Somebody just asked that. Jovic, Jeremy Grant, Denny Avdia. I sort of have some interest in Evan Mobley at 8,500. I also I'm kind of intrigued by Obi Toppin, and it's more so interested in Thomas Bryant on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, where Obi Toppin is power forward eligible, where we don't have really that great of value in general. I kind of like the idea of just going into it, making the assumption that we're going to be without Miles Turner, and I think suddenly guys like Obi Toppin have some upside there. So I like to get to a little bit there. I'm probably not going to get to double digits. I just wanted to shout the name out as somebody that I like to get a couple. I'm only playing 20 lineups. I probably want 1 to 2 shares of Obi Toppin in those 20 lineups.
Okay, before we get to center real quick, I do want to point out a couple things that just dropped. One, Dallas is starting Dante Exum and 2, Kessler Edwards is starting. I don't know about that dude, but I know that in the past, Dante Exum has put up some numbers, and this is a very depleted Dallas team. He's cheap as hell, and he's starting. Like, where is our interest level now that he's starting?
Well, he started the last game.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's played 21 minutes.
Yeah, he's on a pretty significant minutes limit, returning from injury. He's only been back 2 games. They came out in the first game, said he was going to be capped at 15. Then he started second game, played 21. So I would guess his limit's probably 22 to 24 minutes right now. And then Najee Marshall, who isn't starting, he was also, announced to be on a minutes limit. So he's probably not starting, so that way they can limit him and still play him in crucial times. So I'm guessing we're probably going to see the minutes projection for Marshall probably fall down to 23 or 24.
Okay, so do we have interest in Exum, or because he's on that minutes restriction, you're like, all right, fine, and a sprinkle in a tournament, but he's not a must-play kind of guy?
He's not a must-play for sure. Like he would, Kyle, if you put him in for 24 minutes, he's like a 0.7 under 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy, right? So he'd still just project for 21, 22. So I think on FanDuel, probably definitely not a must-play, but I don't know, probably a fine play. Kyle, what do you think of that? You do the projections, so you're gonna be better at answering this than me.
Yeah, he's a little bit cheaper on DraftKings, so I think you made a case for him. On FanDuel, though, like I get that he's cheap and strong value is really hard to come by, but I also think that he's at a position where we talked about a couple of the small forwards that are a little bit easier to build around in that range. And like right there, even on the same team, you can make a case for just playing Max Christie because, I do think Christie's probably going to be a lower per minute guy, but I think he's probably going to be safer for more minutes, even though he's coming off the bench. I'm just not really sold on Exum playing a ton of minutes here. I think he's still going to be pretty heavily limited, so definitely not a priority.
Okay, and then Kessler Edwards is also starting. Is this another dude who you're not expecting much from?
Yeah. He started last game as well, and he only played 21 minutes. So he's, again, one of those guys that he's going to start but not see the full starters minutes. In my opinion, he's only starting so that way they can, still work in Najee Marshall in the key moments of the game while, keeping his minutes limit intact.
Okay.
So Kyle, I want your thoughts on this, and Kevin, I guess too. But so Exum didn't play at all in the fourth quarter in the last game, and it was a major blowout. So do we think he maybe could have played 24 minutes in that last game? So maybe he could get up to like 27, 28 minutes. Like, do you think there's any chance that he could like actually see more than 24 here?
It's possible. Again, it's because they haven't really been public about the minutes limit, but I just think it would be strange that he went from, they were very public about it being a 15-minute limit just 2 games ago to all of a sudden being ready to play 30 minutes or so. But I do think there's a good point that you make. He could play 24, 25 minutes. I don't think that'd be all that strange, and maybe he gets up to 26 if the game stays close. But they do have ways to not play him a ton of minutes as well either, because they have Dinwiddie, they have Jaden Hardy on the bench, so there are ways for them to still keep him limited. So I would be overly cautious with being too aggressive on the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got to keep this moving, boys, because we're running a little behind schedule. Neil, walk me through center real quick.
Yeah, center on FanDuel. Sorry, just 1 second.
Yeah.
Again, Precious is center eligible, so I'm getting to a ton. Bam, Joel Embiid is in, I think, limited to like 30 minutes. I'm getting to a lot. Khalil Ware looks really good in Chicago. Kristaps, Daniel Gafford. That's it for me as far as double digits. I guess a lot of my center ownership go into Precious and Bam mostly.
Okay, Kyle, your favorite's the center, and then we'll kick it to DK shortly.
Yeah, I think Gafford's a really strong play. I think some people might be a little bit scared of him because of Embiid on the other side, but with Embiid being limited and Gafford, I'm expecting to play pretty significant minutes here with no PJ Washington, no Derek Lively. So I like him. Like both of the Heat guys, Bam and Khalil Ware. Obviously easier to play Bam because you can slide him in over there at the power forward spot, but I think Ware's also a strong play if you're not playing Bam, and then Precious as well. I think that would pretty much highlight the centers that I'm mainly interested in.
Okay, good stuff. Certainly want to move things over to DK. Why didn't I have my read pulled up? What a rookie move, Kevin. Let's go over to DK, but before you do, make sure you get this sweet deal going on for a limited time. Get your first month of Combo Pro for $79.99, $15 more than PGA Premium. It's only $5 more than NBA Premium. It is truly great value. Sign up for RotoGrinders Combo Pro. You get all of this analysis that you get for free, but like 1,000 times more behind the scenes, behind the paywall, you'll absolutely love. Let's kick it over to DraftKings now. Kyle, you get to lead us off there at point.
So again, a lot of the names do carry over. Kyrie projects really well for us over on DraftKings. I think he's about the same price, but just with the opportunity cost and just different salary and different players here. Like him quite a bit. Tyler Hero as well up at the top, and then Jalen Brunson. All three of these guys within $200 of each other, all really strong plays. You can make a case for playing multiple of them. If I had to rank them, I would probably go Irving, Hero, and then Brunson last, just because you can also play Cat, who I like quite a bit tonight. Again, both of the Chicago guys I like. You can even throw Lonzo Ball in there as well. He'd be the third of the Chicago guys, but Giddey and Kobe White I do like. And then Terry Rozier, once again here, 4,600, even cheaper over on DraftKings. Feeling pretty good about his minutes and his usage here in a great matchup against Chicago. And then Scotty Barnes up at the top. I think he's a good play, but again, these three, Kyrie, Hero, and Brunson, I just am prioritizing over Scotty Barnes. And then a couple other value guys. Keon Johnson here at 5K. He played 33 minutes last game. Similar rotation here for them. So we should see 30-plus minutes again for Keon Johnson, who's handling the ball quite a bit when Russell's off the floor. So don't mind him. And then I did kind of disregard Darius Garland a little bit, but I do like him. I think he's a strong play. I think that you can, especially if you want to pair up a couple of these guys in this game expected to be close. Obviously, Cleveland plays pretty quick this year, so this game could be pretty good for fantasy, even though it's two teams that are pretty good defensively still. So I'll give Garland a little bit more love here.
Okay, Neil, your favorite to point.
Yeah, point guard getting to, again, a ton of Terry Rozier, Tyler Harrell, love the matchup. Scotty Barnes, Keon Johnson, James Harden, Josh Giddey. I got Anthony Simons and Donovan Mitchell. I'm also getting to double digits, but that's it for me in double digits on DraftKings.
Okay, how about shooting guard?
Yep, shooting guard, a lot of the same names. Terry Rozier, getting to a good amount of Cam Whitmore at 3,600, Grady Dick at 4,000, Zaire Williams, Kobe White, Keon Johnson, Norm Powell, Jaylen Brown, and Anthony Simons, and Donovan Mitchell again. And that's it as far as double digits at shooting guard.
Kyle, shooting guard.
Yep, in the mid-range, Dick, White, Rozier, all these guys are really strong plays. Also think Powell is just under 7K, like him quite a bit. Whitmore, much better on DraftKings, in my opinion, than over on FanDuel, just price-wise and fitting guys into lineups, and obviously scoring as well, a guy who can get hot from three. Keon Johnson, you can also play at shooting guard. Zaire Williams, who I talked about on the FanDuel side. So either one of these Brooklyn guys, definitely don't want to play both of them, Zaire Williams and Keon, but you can, put a rule in there saying just one of those guys. Other guys that stick out, I do like Ayo DeSumo as well. He's kind of the forgotten bull amongst these three guards here, but don't hate him here tonight. But other guys that really stick out, I do like Simons in the ownership that we're seeing on him, sub 4% right now. And again, Donovan Mitchell, who I did talk about, I like guys other than him in that price range, but at sub 5% projected ownership in a game that I think is going to be a good one, I don't mind Donovan Mitchell either.
Okay, I want you to take me small forward. We got a question about LeVert as well, if you could answer that, Kyle.
Okay, yeah, so he is. So the question is he too cheap? And I do agree the LeVert price tag is pretty appealing. And again, that's a game that I think you can make a case for just being interested in because of how competitive and close we are going to project for it to be. But LeVert, I don't know if he benefits from that, right? Because he's a bench player. So he's one of those guys who we're probably going to see his minutes not change all that much game over game in a game that is this close, while we see the starters maybe get more minutes. So I'd be a little bit careful with LeVert, but the price is fine if you wanted to play him and take a chance there. Other small forwards that I like, again, Jason Tatum in this game, like him quite a bit. I do like him more than Jaylen Brown, even on a points per dollar basis. So I like Tatum once again here. Denny Avdia, Cam Whitmore, Agbaji as well, who we haven't touched on yet, or at least I haven't, 3,400. We're seeing similar projected ownership with him compared to Cam Whitmore. In my opinion, Cam Whitmore is the much higher per minute player, but obviously Agbaji is going to see some more run. Amin Thompson projecting for some low ownership here in a good matchup. And then a lot of these value guys that we already touched on, Zaire Williams, Ayo DeSumo, and then I'll even throw Rui in there as well at 5,100 with no Anthony Davis.
Okay, good stuff. I think we're kind of caught back up to some degree here. Neil, what do you like at small forward?
Yep, a lot of the same names. Jason Tatum looks great. Cam Whitmore, Agbaji, Zaire Williams, Josh Hart getting to a lot, even at 7,700. Scotty Barnes, Jaylen Brown. I'm getting to a little bit of Dante Exum. I'm up to 13%. I gave him a little bit of a boost just because he played just under 15 minutes in the first half of the last game. So I'm like, if he's going to be projected for really low minutes everywhere, I'll just take a few stabs on what if he does play 30 minutes here. Norm Powell, and that's it for me at small forward in double digits.
Okay, good stuff. Neil, that brings us to power forward.
Yep, getting to a ton of Bam Adebayo, Jason Tatum, Agbaji, Josh Hart, LeBron, Jovic, Denny. Sorry, actually, that's it as far as double digits goes.
Okay, Kyle, your thoughts at power forward?
Yeah, the three guys up at the tops from a price perspective are all pretty strong plays. Obviously, it gets difficult to fit multiple of these guys, but in terms of playing several lineups, Bam, LeBron, and Tatum, I like quite a bit. Obviously, difficult to play LeBron and Tatum in the same lineup, but Bam at 7,900, I just think is a really even good value play at this point at that price. Denny, I do like once again here, sub 12% projected ownership. I think he's a guy that I'm definitely going to be over on the field, and then obviously even compare him to maybe the Bam ownership there. I think he's just far too low owned for what we're going to see. And again, another guy whose minutes, we could be low on him right now because of the fact that this game stays close. We could easily see the Blazers play their starters some more minutes. A lot of these other power forwards that we've talked about already, Rui, Agbaji, Jovic. In terms of guys that we haven't mentioned, I guess Jayshawn Tate, I think his viability is probably a little bit higher on DraftKings just from a tournament perspective, because on FanDuel, Whitmore's not going to be all that popular, but on DraftKings, Whitmore's looking like he's going to be over 30, 35%. So I do think there's a little bit more leverage there with Tate over on DraftKings.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Okay, take me to the center spot, Kyle.
Yeah, I love Karl-Anthony Towns tonight. Obviously, it seems like a lot of the public does as well. 21% projected ownership, 9-4. If you're not playing Brunson, I do think you even increase your intrigue to Karl-Anthony Towns, like Gafford and Adebayo as well. Bam's really easy to play because you can also play him at power forward, so it's pretty easy to get these guys in the lineups. Like Pirtle's price here at 6,400. The matchup, against Cat, obviously you got to deal with some foul trouble potentially there, but and then obviously Cat likes to step out, so maybe that does hurt his rebounding upside a bit. But the price tag at 6,400, I do think is a little bit too cheap. Porzingis, we talked about on the FanDuel side, like him quite a bit. Khalil Ware, 6,100. DeAndre Ayton is coming off of maybe his best game as a pro, 25 points, 20 rebounds against his former team and the Suns. He looked pretty good. Obviously, probably a little extra chip on his shoulder there, but in my opinion, it's all about the minutes for Ayton. Right now, we've projected for 33 minutes, so I do like Ayton again tonight.
He may have had his one good game of his career, and he's checked out at this point. Neil, what are we doing at center? We've got 5 minutes until lock.
Yeah, so my highest owned right now is Thomas Bryant. I put him in for a projection of 25, and that's just a game theory thing. We don't have a ton of great value on this slate. So when there's not a ton of great value, I think you can gain more by kind of making those assumptions going into a slate. So I'm getting to a ton of Thomas Bryant. It's something that if you're playing in a smaller field or something, you might want to also play a high one of the top dollar plays on the late games so that you can pivot. But in a large field, I am not doing that. So I'm going to do a ton of Thomas Bryant, Bam Adebayo, DeAndre Ayton, Karl-Anthony Towns, Daniel Gafford, Nikola Jovic, Kristaps Porzingis, Jakob Poeltl, and Precious Achiuwa. Zubats I'm getting to, actually, I want to get to double-digit Zubats, so I'll probably give a little bit of a bump there, and maybe even Khalil Ware, maybe double digits as well.
Good stuff. We are 5 minutes until lock, and I just saw that the Amen Thompson triple-double line is plus 2,000. Which is just wrong. It's just wrong. Like, that's the wrong number. It should be plus 800 or something. That's crazy to me. He certainly has a better than 1 in 20 chance of getting a triple-double. I'll tell you that. All right, let's dive into some of these QQs. Let's see what we've got. Got some good ones in the Discord. Let's see. Thoughts on Finney Smith and a FanDuel GPP. Kyle?
Again, he's a guy who's not really playing full minutes right now. Again, another guy who they could potentially just keep coming off the bench, even with the recent trade. They're doing that kind of on purpose to keep that minutes limit intact. But he did play 31 minutes last game, so maybe we're going to see those minutes go up, maybe even get a surprise start. But 4K, you could do worse, but he's not a guy that's popping a ton for me currently.
Okay, we're going to go to lightning round. Yes, that is a weather pun. We got to speed it up. We've got 4 minutes. So, Neil, FanDuel GPP, Bam, Zinger, or Siakam?
Bam.
Okay, Kyle, to you, FanDuel Cash 3v3, Rozier, Dosunmu, Embiid, or Brunson, Duncan Robinson, and Ware?
I'll take the Brunson side.
Another one for you. Right back to you here. DK GPP, Rui, Jovic, Keon Johnson, or Ball?
So just one of the four?
That's what I think so. Yeah.
I think I'd go with Rui there.
Okay, good stuff. Neil, DK GPP, Zubac, or Ayton?
Zubats.
Neil, this is a 2v2. It's FanDuel Cash. Io and Embiid, or Kobe, Cheese White, and Gafford.
The second one.
Okay. Kyle, does Portland have a short bench? Their game log in OT, they only had 8 guys see the floor. So who's the Portland guy to play?
I mean, they didn't have to do that last night. They have guys on the bench, but they definitely went short, and that's kind of the reason why I think there is some worry about them not playing a ton of guys too far deep into the game here. But they have 11 guys that we have projected right now, so they're not short by any means. They're just doing that because they wanted to play these guys in a competitive game.
Okay. Is there a guy on Portland that you have a good amount of interest in, or not really?
Denny's my favorite right now.
Okay, good. Right back to you, Kyle. DKGPP, Council, Zaire, or Strus?
I'll go Zaire there.
Okay. FanDuel, single entry. This is a 3v3 for you, Neil. I don't know if you're ready for this.
Okay.
Amen, Jalen Green, and Zaire Williams, or Grady Dick, DeSumo, and LeBron?
The second one.
Okay, jumping into the YouTube. Make sure you hit us with that thumbs up, guys. It is great free content, so I'm not asking for too much. Click a button. That's all. Thoughts on Jackson Hayes, Neil? You get any Jackson Hayes?
Kind of interesting. Yeah, I did get to a little bit of, well, which side are we talking about? I think I got to a little bit on DraftKings. I was trying to get to some. He's going to have to play some minutes here. I actually didn't, and I'd like to. So I'm glad you brought him up. Yeah, I think Jackson Hayes is pretty interesting here, even in a tough matchup. Could be in for pretty big minutes tonight.
Okay, we'll go to Power's question, Neil. Who do you prefer, Agbaji or Whitmore? Again, no site mentioned.
Whitmore.
Okay. Kyle, back to you. DK Cash, Colby White, or Simmons?
Kobe White.
Okay. Embiid minutes are capped around 30 minutes according to their coach. This is what Anger says. Any love for Embiid in a FanDuel GPP?
I must have missed that report about the 33 minutes.
30 minutes.
30.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Center's a tough position. I don't really have a ton of Embiid tonight.
Yeah, 30 is just not quite enough. Darren says, FanDuel Cash, Kyle, this is to you. Embiid, Tate Edwards, or Exum, Whitmore, Gafford?
Sorry, what was the
answer's Exum, Whitmore, Gafford. You're not playing Embiid in Cash, right? In FanDuel Cash?
Correct, yeah.
So the answer's the second one. Jackson Carr, Neil. DKGPP, I need a 3,200 guy with an 8K guy. So basically Tate/Bryant and JB/Siakam versus Levert Zubac. Did you get that?
Levert Zubac would probably be the safer option. I kind of like just taking the shot on Bryant and then just changing later if you need to.
Okay. Let's see. Where or we hit the lock. Where or Gafford in a FanDuel GPP, Neil? What do you like?
Sorry, say that again.
It was Where or Gafford in a FanDuel GPP.
That's tough. I'll go with Gafford.
Okay. Somebody asked for the Tiny Hands play of the day. The Tiny Hands play of the day is Kyrie Irving. I think he's getting 40 real life points. That is your Tiny Hands play of the day. My hands aren't actually that tiny, by the way. Just hold them
if
back.
you just put them behind your head. Yeah.
Yeah, they look really tiny back there. Okay, guess what? We have done all of the things that we came here to do. So we're going to bounce on out of here. For Kyle, for Neil, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been